Welcome back. In our last episode, we sat down with Mark Dilworth and talked a little bit about the power of the who. Well, actually a lot about
it.
As we dove into Mark's story of building $1 billion market center, what we uncovered was his success wouldn't have happened without the who's in his organization.
I was really impressed with how much and even when we tried to throw accolades on him, he would turn it back to the people that surrounded him.
Absolutely.
And he mentioned that the job on a scale of 1 to 10 was a 12, but there were times when he didn't have the who that it was on the other end of that scale.
Yeah.
So you can't deny the significance of the who.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about that.
So what we wanted to do today was really dive into those principles of how to find your who, how to know when you're ready for that who, and how that who can really make a difference in your organization.
Yeah, because when we were talking about the market center, well, yeah, that makes sense. But when you're talking about real estate, the individual agent, it still makes sense to understand what's around you, who's around you, and how they help you be successful. I think in anything in life, structure is a significant reality of what's going to happen for the future.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes real estate agents have this idea that, well, I'm just going to go out and sell houses.
Right.
I'm just going to go sell houses.
Yeah.
And it's a piece of cake, right?
Right.
And then you get into it, and yeah, maybe you have some success.
Right.
And when I first started in real estate, they would say, well, you're employed for 3 months and you're unemployed again. Well, that's because you don't have the who's, you don't have the structure, you don't know where you're going, you're not doing career visioning.
Right.
And so I think it's significant to take a few moments to think about, how am I going to be successful over the long haul? And it's not going to happen by yourself.
Right. So one of the things that we do here is we take these really difficult concepts, well, what people feel like are difficult concepts, and we break them down into easy, bite-sized, manageable pieces. So one of the classes that we teach is actually career visioning. And what we wanted to do today was kind of walk you through that process and just give you a little bit of a teaser of how that works.
Okay. So when we talk about career visioning, the thing that catches me in that title is the word career.
Yeah.
Because real estate is a business like any other business. It isn't just selling houses. And one of the things we talk at Keller Williams when new agents come in is we're here to help you build a business.
Right.
We are the business and personal development company.
Right.
And real estate is the field in which we practice. So when we say career visioning, the idea is, how are you going to build a career? And when I'm speaking with new agents or even agents that are looking to make a transition to Keller Williams, the question I ask is, where do you want to be in 5 years?
Yes.
Quit thinking about the next week or month. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Because 5 years is coming, and you're going to live in 5 years, so how are you going to do that? And I think career visioning is a super help in thinking about how that's going to unfold.
Yeah. So we really came up with sort of our own acronym. We're calling it SIT. But it's an easy way to remember how to actually go through building a team. So the first part that we have is structure.
And structure is sitting down and just developing, how do I, if I'm building a team, for example, but even as an individual or solo agent, how am I doing what I do? And how can I repeat that?
Right.
So structure becomes the foundation of that business.
Well, and what we find often is entrepreneurs, when they get into real estate, right, the first thing they want to do is sell houses. And it's like the worst thing you could possibly do right away.
Right.
Because in order to grow, when you take a look at what you want to do in 5 years, if you don't have a foundation, what's going to happen is you're going to have to slow down your business to speed up, but your bills aren't going to stop.
They do not.
They do not, unfortunately. So that's why one of the things that we teach you is documenting your systems and your practices. And we have so many different tools that do it for you so easily, so that when you're ready to make that first hire, you're not stopping everything to show them how it's done. You already have a beautifully curated system that shows them exactly who you are, the way you treat your customers, and the way you run your business.
So you just said we have great tools. What's one tool that they could use to understand their business?
So one of the things that we have is Command, right? Command is a CRM system that's pretty customizable. And if you actually take the time to work inside of that system and build out your task list within our opportunities, which is essentially just walking you through the transaction, it makes it so easy for when you're ready to hire an admin, not an agent, because most agents want to hire an agent first because we don't want to show buyers or whatever it may be. But truthfully, your next step is an admin. So within Command, you can set up all of those systems and practices. So when that person steps in, it's literally just giving them your login and showing them how the process works.
Well, and one of the things that I've learned since I've been here is the significance of that admin is to really grow your ability to do what you already do really well.
Yeah.
And agents that are successful are good in the field. For the most part, that's their strength, right? So they don't like and I didn't either as a new agent. I don't like doing all the stuff behind the scenes and sitting there and filling out all the paperwork and loading in who I contacted and when I contacted them and all that. I enjoyed being out there with the people.
Right.
So great agents do that, and then they think, well, I'll just grab another agent. But your point is getting someone to multiply you until you're ready for that additional buyer agent or however you're going to structure that. That person is invaluable. Absolutely. And you will do better and build the foundation or the structure out by looking at that next position as a non-agent position.
Correct. That's where we move into ideal. So really, we take a look at who you are as a business owner. And what steps are you taking inside of your business that you absolutely must do because you're the best at them? And then you take a moment and say, what am I not good at? What am I saving for at the very last minute? Getting paid, putting in the information that we need inside of our command system, answering to compliance, right? Those are usually things that we push aside. So what we suggest is you take time, you write out what you love to do as an entrepreneur, and then you write the things that you don't love. And sometimes for us, it can feel icky because we're like, oh my gosh, paperwork? Like, we hate that. However, that's the beauty of the KPA. The KPA is a Keller Personality Assessment test. And what that does is it takes a real deep dive into the human in each way that they function, with people, with systems, with paperwork, and it helps you understand their dynamic. So what we find is there are people who love paperwork, which is weird for us.
It doesn't make sense to me.
However, there are systems-based people, and they want to support you in your business. And one of the things that we do is we help you find those people through the KPA, career visioning, and tying that all together. So to give that a nice little bow, what's important is identifying what you love to do and identifying what you don't, and then using the systems and processes to find that person to elevate your business, not fight for you to do the same things. Because if you like to go out and show customers or you like to work with a customer, you don't want another agent taking that from under you.
Well, and something in what you just said, we have to, in many ways, staff to our weakness.
Yes.
And sometimes we're looking for someone, I want to put somebody on my team. I really like this person. They're a great agent. We're staffing to a personality, or we're staffing to someone we think, oh, this would be a good person to hang out with. That's not necessarily the best person to help your business grow.
Right.
And sometimes you need someone who is almost the opposite of you and their talents and abilities to multiply yourself and what you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely.
So one of the cool things about career visioning is, hey, I'm not looking for a buddy.
Right.
Like when I go fishing on the weekend, I'll take a buddy.
Yeah.
But when I'm trying to build a business, I want a competent person who can do what I either don't want to do or don't do very well. So part of that ideal is looking in the mirror and sometimes just going, you know what, I'm not good at this. And it's okay to be not good at everything you have to do in real estate. No one is. So that ideal is, who is that ideal person that's going to fill that slot?
Yep.
Can't do that without a KPA or a DISC or some measuring tool in whatever brokerage you're in, whatever they use.
Absolutely.
The principle's the same. How are you looking for that next person, and who are they? A lot of time, the very opposite of what you think you need is what you need.
Right, exactly. The next part that we step into, it's timing.
Timing.
So it's funny because how many times has someone come into our organization and they have a really successful first few months, right?
Yep.
They have $2 million in sales. They're like, all right, it's time to start a team and hire a buyer's agent.
Right.
And it's like, oh my gosh, taking on a buyer's agent is so much more than just hiring an agent to your team to go show property. Like, you're taking on someone else's family and their livelihood.
Yeah.
So often we have to reel that back in, help people understand that, are you actually ready? Do you have enough business coming in that if you needed to hand a lead to that buyer's agent, it's not going to hinder you and your family? Because those are one of the first things that you have to ask yourself is, can I actually support this person?
And timing is also, I think, an understanding of the big picture.
Yes, absolutely.
So 2 months in is probably not the time to make any massive decisions
Absolutely.
about your career. You're still understanding this industry. So it's about competency.
Yep.
Where am I at in my competency? Where am I at in my database? Yep. There are things you're going to have to do initially to build and create that timing. And okay, now is the right time to do it. And impatience is a social reality, right? We're used to everything happening quickly. This isn't something that happens overnight, like really getting your foundation under you. And I think one of our systems within Keller Williams, especially for new agents and successful one, is they're still in our production coach program.
Yes.
They still have mentorship. They still have a lot of voices in to help them understand that timing, because you just don't know.
Right.
You don't know what you don't know. Right. So I think that's another component you really have to think through and be careful
Yeah, well, having the ability to go to someone who can consult you through it, right? Not just having to go to Google and be like, how can I figure this out? You've got real life people where you can walk into the market center and say, here's where my business is at. Here's what I'm experiencing. What's that next step look like to make me ultimately the most successful?
So what you're telling me is you may not be able to AI this one.
I would say it might take some experience. Absolutely.
So you can't just punch that in and see what the computer spits back at you. Anyway.
I mean, you can, but the truth is there's nothing wrong with utilizing AI. However, it's not the secret sauce to everything, right? It's not the final answer. I don't ever think we're going to be able to take away from human experience. AI is never going to understand what we've gone through helping growing this place, right? AI doesn't understand the inner workings of the human mind the way that we do. You got to experience it.
Sure. So what else with career visioning do you think is significant or important to developing that lifelong business?
So the biggest thing is the 30-60-90, actually, in my opinion. So once you go through the KPA process, right, and we actually have 7 appointments you have to go through prior to getting hired, because each one of those steps has a very unique purpose. The other thing that we do during that 7 interviews is seeing, are they in it to win it? Do they have the grit? Do they actually want to be a part of this organization or a part of your dream in your organization? So first is the hiring process, but then we move into 30-60-90. And 30-60-90 is essentially your first 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. And they walk through the different things that you have to hit. So whether it be reading The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, having 100 contacts in a week, whatever that team or whatever you're looking for in someone to join. And essentially within 90 days, if that hire isn't giving you your return on investment, it's probably time to cut them. And now, I don't subscribe to this fully, but I do want to share it. We talk about long to hire, quick to fire. And I subscribe to that a little bit, but one of the things that I want you to understand as a leader, that if within 90 days you're having to fire someone, there's probably a step in the process that you missed. There's probably something that we didn't really dig in on. Or you hired a friend and you just hoped it would work out, which is what most people do. But after that 90 days, you've got a full system built, set, and an agent who's actually ready to function on an agent or admin who's actually ready to function on their own. So I think that 30-60-90 is invaluable.
And I can kind of testify to some of this in some of the things that I've led during my careers, and I've had a couple.
Of course.
The quick hire has sometimes come back to really cost me in the long run. And whether it's a cost of dollars, but it's not always dollars. Sometimes it's credibility in an organization. You bring somebody in and they're disruptive. So I think I've learned in some ways the hard way that it's a good thing to take your time and make sure that it's a good fit. One of our leading teams here is very careful about that. When someone comes in, they think, hey, this might be a great fit for us. They don't just bring them in and test it out. They really walk with them through that. And I see that as a pattern in a lot of successful teams and companies, that they're not afraid to take the time to make the right hire.
Right. Tedious up front, financially beneficial long run, no doubt. So let me ask you this, because you have been in different careers, and I think that this spans across more than just real estate. When you take a look at hiring mistakes, aside from just taking out the time that you need, what are some other warning signs or advice that you want to give to those out there looking to make their next hire?
Don't get excited about the superstar. Don't get excited about the superstar.
Okay.
Sometimes someone will come in and initially, man, there's just something about them, and you're thinking, this person's going to be amazing. They're going to do great at whatever it is, or they're going to produce at a high level. That initial response may be deceptive. Yeah. And I know when I came into the position I'm in now, again, 7 different times. Right. And I even looked at Mark at one point and I said, this is ending at some point, right? Y'all are going to pull the trigger one way or the other, right? But he was the same way. There was an initial spark there, but he wanted to make sure that it was actually a flame.
Right.
So I think that's one thing. Don't get enamored with that first experience. Some people interview well, try out well, but they don't play well.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing. I think another thing is listen to other people.
Yes.
Sometimes you get narrowed in and you're focused on, hey, I really want to hire this person. I really want to bring them in. But there's some people going, hey, you might want to think about this, or I see this. So introducing that person into other people if you're on a team. Yeah. Or if you're a solo agent and you're starting to expand, find another trusted agent and go have lunch and bring this person, get another perspective. Because if you're not using KPA or DISC or something, you need to have some voices in the room. Yeah. So I would say those 2 things stand out most. Don't get starstruck, and really vet it. Yeah. see if this person is, and then do what you just said, do a 90-day experience with them and be upfront about that. Hey, we're going to try this for 90 days and we're going to see if it works. You have to come to a point where you take it seriously.
Absolutely.
That's the bottom line. This is a business. This is my livelihood. I want to know that this is going to work well for both of us.
Yeah. I mean, one of the main principles that we teach here is being a CEO versus a hobbyist.
Oh, that's great.
There are so many people out there and teams that are really just a conglomerate with a credit card.
Right, yeah.
But they don't have any systems and structures, and that's kind of where this comes in. To that point of having someone else in the room, part of our career visioning process, at the very tail end, we actually do what's called a group interview. And you have everyone on the team be part of that group interview. And what that does is help you identify, hey, how is this person going to function with each person on the team? And you want all those different personalities coming together to help you really deep dive into that person. Just nice to have a little extra eyes on it.
Well, and the bottom line with all of this is intentionality, right?
Intentionality, yeah.
Don't just think things happen. They happen for a reason, and they fail for a reason.
Yeah.
So if you've done this and it's kind of not worked out so well, don't be afraid to sit down and be honest about why it hasn't worked. And I would throw this in as well. Reach out to somebody who's doing it well.
Yes.
Buy somebody coffee. Find out why what they did works. You're probably going to find it didn't work a number of times before it worked, and learn from that as well. And of course, you can always reach out to us here at Atlantic Partners.
Absolutely.
And have a conversation about our career visioning and the tools and systems we bring to the table. So we would love to have that conversation with you as well.
And what's cool about that is that we're not here to invite you into the organization necessarily. Like, if you just want to know how these systems and processes work, one of the fundamental principles that we believe in is we are an industry who works together. It has nothing to do with what brokerages you're a part of and everything to do with the way the consumer sees our value. So we want to provide that value to you and help you understand these processes, whether or not you decide to be with us.
Yeah, it's not about that.
Yeah.
And we may, you may not feel comfortable here, and we may not want you here.
That's very true.
I mean, who knows? But we can elevate our industry.
Right.
You know, there's a fit for everybody.
Yeah.
But we're very passionate about lifting our industry up so that our reputation in the community is great.
Yeah.
So we're working across brokerages super well.
Yeah.
And when that happens, ultimately the consumer wins.
Everybody
and
wins.
that's what it's a win-win.
Yeah,
Wait
absolutely.
a second, I've heard that somewhere
That's
before.
so weird. It's
that
like,
might be a part of KW as well.
yeah,
I
like
don't
our
know.
mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives or whatever.
Something like that. So anyway, all right, anything else you think we need to share?
I think the only other thing is realize that this is a process. This is a system. This is a tool for you to use. You are not going to be perfect, which is one of the things that you hit on. But it is okay to make the wrong hiring mistake. One of the things that leaders will often do is they'll make a decision and they will wrap their arms around it. And they'll be like, no,
Oh, wow.
I need
Yeah.
this to work. I need this to work, because they feel their credibility, their reputation is on the line. But at the end of the day, my very best leadership decisions I ever made was letting someone go. And the reason I say that is the moment we let these people go, because it's been several people in my organization, everything changed. The energy changed. My team was happier. And it wasn't because of necessarily that person. It's just sometimes there needs to be a shakeup for everyone to realize that we got to get on board. We're steering a very large ship, and either you're on the bus or you're off of it. So don't be afraid to say, hey guys, I made the wrong decision. I'm so sorry. And show them that you are that leader. And then guess what? You get back on the horse, you do another 7 interviews, and then hopefully you find the right person.
Hopefully find the right person. And to that point, I think that's such an important concept. Sometimes you've invested so much in something that you feel this it can't fail mentality.
Right.
And I've been through that as well. In fact, in one circumstance, not related to real estate, I'd made a decision. I was holding on to it so tight that one of the other persons in our organization came up and wanted to know what kind of pictures this person had on me that I would fight so much for them.
Yeah.
Because it was so disruptive. So you really have to be honest about that as well and go, maybe I'm holding on to this because I see it as a reflection of me.
Right.
And not a reflection of what it should be, which is the whole group, the whole entity. So I think that's a great point. Don't get too locked in on something that you can't make that great decision to let something go to get better.
Absolutely.
I think that's good too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. We want to just come and give value away and help our whole industry. But if you have any questions, again, you can reach out to either one of us. I'm at the Atlantic Beach and Ponte Vedra offices most of the time.
Yep.
Amanda's everywhere.
I travel 205 miles of coastline.
She's all over the place. But you certainly can find us, reach out to us. We'd love to help you any way we can.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here today. And we're excited for the next episode of The Real Estate Bolt.